Michael Walker steps outside the bustling downtown kitchen of Sunrise Eats. He breathes in the cool evening air, grateful for a moment away from the sizzling noise of fryers and the staccato bark of customers calling for quicker service. He stands in a simple navy polo shirt with the company logo, faded jeans and an old baseball cap pulled low. Even though he's the founder and CEO of Sunrise Eats, a popular food chain known for fast delivery and friendly service, tonight, he's just Mike, the new driver. Rumors of late orders, driver complaints, and a tense work environment have grown too loud to ignore. So he decided to shed his usual suit and tie, trade them for a delivery uniform, and see for himself what's happening on the streets. It's a Friday evening in Minneapolis, the sun dipping behind city buildings that loom in the distance. Cars honk, brake lights illuminate the road, and sidewalks fill with people heading home or out for the weekend. Michael slides into a battered white sedan bearing the Sunrise Eats magnet on the passenger door. He checks the dispatch app on a phone lent to him by the shift manager, a man named Derek. The screen shows a list of pending deliveries across town. Typically, Michael only sees this data in weekly reports. Now he's witnessing orders come in real time, a constant ping that demands drivers pick up the pace. He's set to deliver 4 separate orders scattered around the city within the next hour. "All right," he mutters. "Let's see if we can keep up." He starts the ignition, merges into traffic, and allows adrenaline to guide him. It's been years since he personally delivered an order, but he's still confident in his driving, even if his knowledge of local shortcuts might be rusty. He heads toward the first address, an apartment complex in a quiet neighborhood. The order is for 2 family-size pizzas and a bag of wings. Michael quickly parks, dashes out with the insulated bag, and hunts for the building entrance. When he buzzes the door, a harried woman answers. She looks relieved to see dinner arrive. He offers a friendly smile, thanks her for choosing Sunrise Eats, and hustles back to the car. So far, so good. He can't help feeling a small rush of satisfaction. Delivering meals to families who rely on quick, affordable food after a long day's work. But halfway through the second delivery, a single giant sub-sandwich, he notices a shift in the dispatch system. More orders flood the queue, pings from the app. He starts the car, glances around, and merges into a busy intersection. The voice of a local radio station drifts from the sedan's old speakers, a pop song fading in and out with static. Then the phone rings, the number identifying itself as Store Line 1. He picks up, uncertain how to respond. "Hey, Mike," Derek's gruff voice says. "Where are you? We've got more orders piling up." Michael tries to keep calm. "Just dropped off that sub, heading to the next address near 4th and Oak." "Well, hurry up. We're short on drivers tonight because one of them called in sick. We can't afford late deliveries. Corporate's all over me to keep times down." Michael swallows. Corporate? That's basically him. He hears the tension in Derek's tone. "Got it," he says simply. "I'll do my best." He sets the phone on the passenger seat, chewing his lip. The mention of corporate's demands stings. If Derek feels pressed, maybe the entire store does. He imagines how other drivers must handle this urgency. Are they feeling rushed, underpaid, or unsafe? He rushes off to the next address, a small home with a family that ordered burgers and fries. This time the father pays in exact change and gives a quick nod. Michael notices a small child peeking through the window, eyes wide with curiosity. "Thank you," the father says softly, tension in his posture. Michael wonders if the cost of dinner weighs heavily on some families. With that fleeting thought, he returns to the car, appetite for the truth growing. As he flips on the engine, he sees another delivery come through, a large group order of salads and grilled chicken wraps for an office building. But the system routes it to another driver, someone named Carly. There's also a big order of party platters assigned to a driver named Jason. The screen says, ETA 30 minutes, but it's across town. Michael frowns. That's cutting it close, especially in Friday traffic. He wonders how Jason will manage. He finishes his final assigned delivery for that wave, then heads back to the store for the next batch. The phone pings with a message. "All drivers return, shift manager needs quick meeting." Michael pulls into the cramped parking lot behind Sunrise Eats, kills the engine, and heads through a side door. Inside the store, the heat of ovens and fryers merges with the constant ring of the phone. Cooked fries sizzle, and staff hustle between counters. Derek stands by a small break table, arms folded over his chest, instructing two employees in lower voices. "There's a surge in orders," Derek says, noticing Michael approach, "and half the staff is behind schedule. We can't keep messing around or we'll lose tips, get bad reviews, and I'll have corporate breathing down my neck. Here's the new plan. Each driver doubles up. 2 orders minimum per trip, if possible." He glances at Michael, sizing him up. "That means you too, Mike. You up for it?" Michael forces a grin. "Sure thing. The more deliveries we knock out, the better." Beside Derek stands a slender young man with a Sunshine Eats cap. His name patch reads Antonio. He offers Michael a shy nod. Michael guesses Antonio is only 20 or so. The manager barks, "Antonio, you're pairing with Mike for the next run. We got a big request from a corporate lunch and learn downtown, some meeting with fancy catering. You'll each take half the load, drop them at the same location." Antonio's face pales slightly, but he nods. "All right, Derek." He rubs the side of his neck, and Michael senses anxiety. Derek then snaps his fingers, pointing at a female driver hunched over a desk, presumably Carly. "You, Carly, hurry up on the wing platters, or we'll get hammered with refunds. Move!" She scurries off, not meeting his gaze. Michael notices the strain in her eyes. A tension lingers in the air, employees feeling the pressure from both the flood of orders and Derek's harsh approach. Michael wonders if Derek is always so curt, or if a lack of staffing has driven him over the edge. He also wonders if corporate truly forced unrealistic goals, or if Derek is mismanaging the store. Nonetheless, he tries to remain calm. He's here to see the reality firsthand, gather insight, and help fix the issues. If that means dealing with Derek's short temper, so be it. He and Antonio load the trunk of an aging hatchback with bag after bag of catered meals. Salads, sandwiches, trays of fruit. Michael's arms ache from the repeated bending. He notices Antonio wiping sweat from his brow, the summer heat magnified in the cramped rear parking lot. Finally, they climb into the car, with Michael driving, the navigation app set for a tall office building downtown. As they pull onto the main road, Antonio exhales, tension etched across his shoulders. "Thanks for driving. My car's in the shop. Derek threatened to cut my hours if I didn't show up, but I literally can't afford repairs until payday." Michael glances at him. "That sounds rough. Has this been going on for a while?" Antonio nods, fiddling with the hem of his Sunrise Eats cap. "For months. My schedule's inconsistent, pay isn't great, tips can be unpredictable. The manager is constantly on us about speed, but if we speed and get a ticket or an accident, that's on us. I'm just trying to get by, maybe save enough for community college next year." Michael feels a pang of empathy. Sunrise Eats was supposed to provide flexible, fair wages. He wonders if store-level leadership has created an environment where employees feel cornered. He grips the steering wheel, heart heavy with the realization that the driver workforce might be struggling more than he realized from corporate HQ. Traffic crawls as they approach downtown. At a red light, Michael flips on the hazard light so they can unload quickly at the curb. He glances at Antonio. "We'll be fine. Just keep calm." They deliver the food to an office suite on the 10th floor, a professional setting with polished floors and glass partitions. A receptionist nods politely, signs for the trays, then waves them out with minimal fuss. When they return to the car, the sun has almost dipped behind the skyscrapers, leaving a warm golden glow. Michael checks the dispatch phone. Another request pings for them, this one for an apartment building in the outskirts. He also notices a text from Derek. "Mike, you free? Need you to handle an urgent drop." Michael sighs, typing back that he'll return to the store as soon as possible. On the drive back, Antonio stares out the window, silent. After a moment, his phone rings. He glances at the screen, face tightening. I gotta take this," he mutters apologetically. He hits answer, voice hushed. "Hello?" Michael tries not to eavesdrop, but in the small cabin, it's unavoidable. Antonio's voice trembles. Mom, I'm sorry, I'm finishing up a shift. No, I can't leave right now. Why is the landlord there? He pauses, swallowing hard. Tell him I'll have the rent soon, I promise. Just give me another few days. His hand grips the phone so tightly his knuckles blanch. Mom, I know, I'm trying. But Derek won't let me go early and I need these hours to get the money. Another pause. Yes, I understand. But there's nothing I can do right now. Please, don't stress yourself out. Michael's heart drops. He hears the stress in Antonio's voice, the fear of losing their home. He wants to speak up, but he doesn't want to embarrass the young man. Instead, he flicks on the turn signal, mind racing. They arrive at a red light. Antonio's eyes fill with tears, though he tries to blink them away. Mom, I promise I'll fix this. I'll call you as soon as I can. He ends the call, exhaling a shaky breath. Then he notices Michael's concerned glance. Sorry, Antonio mumbles, dropping the phone into his lap. I didn't mean to. Michael gently shakes his head. No need to apologize. Everything okay? Antonio's eyes dart away, tears threatening to spill. We're behind on rent. My mom's been sick, so she can't work much. I was supposed to pay the landlord 2 days ago, but I've been short on cash. If I miss any more shifts, we'll be evicted. But Derek's barely giving me enough hours to scrape by, and I just feel trapped. Michael stops cold, overwhelmed by the raw desperation in Antonio's words. He grips the steering wheel, mind whirling. This is exactly the kind of crisis that corporate policy should help avoid. Yet it's happening to one of his own employees. He glances at the phone on the dash, seeing more pings from the dispatch app. But right now, all he can think about is the driver next to him, tears shining in the corners of his eyes. He tries to steady his voice. I'm sorry you're in that situation. That sounds brutal. Antonio manages a weak nod. The light turns green. Michael presses the gas, a heavy pit forming in his stomach. They continue back to Sunrise Eats in silence, though the tension is palpable. He wonders how many other employees are facing similar troubles. And he wonders how Derek treats them behind closed doors. When they arrive, the back lot is crammed with cars. The phone on the dash vibrates with more urgent orders. Derek stands by the delivery counter inside, scanning tickets and handing them to frantic drivers. Carly moves fast to pack orders, but she looks exhausted. Another driver storms in, complaining that the promised route is too far, but Derek snaps at him. Michael and Antonio squeeze through the chaos, returning the used insulated bags. Finally, Derek growls, noticing them. We're way behind. Carly, load up the next orders for Mike and Antonio. Carly grabs a stack of receipts, looking harried, and shoves them at Michael with a half-apologetic shrug. Derek crosses his arms. I need you two to run these out in 30 minutes or less. We have a corporate metric to hit or we lose weekend bonuses. Antonio tenses, barely masking his frustration. Michael tries to remain calm. We'll do our best, but is there any way to distribute the orders more evenly? Some of these addresses are on opposite ends of the city. Derek narrows his eyes. You questioning me, new guy? This is how we do things. If you can't handle it, maybe I'll give your shift to someone else. Michael bristles but swallows his anger. He sets the new bags by his feet, glancing at Antonio, who stands uncertainly with 2 large pizza boxes. Let's just get it done, Michael says softly. Outside, they load up the trunk again, hearts heavy. Antonio keeps checking his phone, worry etched on his face. Michael's mind churns with confusion. Should he blow his cover now? Confront Derek and fix everything? Or gather more evidence first to ensure a lasting solution? He decides to wait just a little longer. The next 2 deliveries are quick ones. A small house for a single calzone, then a set of condo units for a party platter. Tension inside the car rises each time Antonio's phone buzzes, with texts or calls from his mother or the landlord. Michael occasionally overhears snatches of desperation in the young man's voice. After the final drop, they head back once more, the clock nearing 9 p.m. The sky is fully dark now, city lights casting neon reflections on wet pavement from a brief drizzle. Michael's stomach growls, but he ignores it, too focused on the mounting stress around him. A pang of guilt roils inside him. How many times has he read glossy reports about delivery times improving, without realizing the cost to real people? They pull into the lot for the third time, and Derek storms over before they can even step out. "Why did that take so long?" he snaps, voice echoing in the cramped outdoor space. Antonio starts to speak, but Michael interjects. "Traffic's heavy, and these addresses are scattered." Derek waves a dismissive hand. "Excuses. Corporate expects better. I might have to cut hours if you two can't speed it up." His glare focuses on Antonio. "You can't keep strolling around if you want to keep paying rent, right?" Antonio stiffens, face flushing with embarrassment. Michael's heart drops again. So Derek is aware of Antonio's struggles and uses them as leverage. That's the final straw, but before Michael can respond, Derek barks, "Another set of big orders came in. Think you can handle it, or should I give them to someone who actually tried?" Michael sets the empty bag down, fists clenching at his sides. Enough is enough. He can't let the intimidation continue. He inhales, summoning the composure to do what he came here for. "I'll handle it," he says quietly. "But first, we need to talk." Derek narrows his eyes. "You want to talk? Talk about what? There's no time for chit-chat, newbie." Antonio opens his mouth, then closes it, torn between fear and relief that someone might stand up to Derek. Michael folds his arms, facing the shift manager under the yellow glow of a single overhead lamp. "We need to address how you're treating these drivers," Antonio included. "You're pushing them beyond reason, using their personal struggles against them. That's not right." Derek scoffs. "Look, this is business. If they can't keep up, that's on them." Michael's jaw tightens. A real manager cares about both business and people. Threatening hours, especially when you know an employee has rent issues, crosses the line. Derek smirks. "You sure talk a big game for a new hire. Think you know better than me how to run this store?" Michael breathes slowly, heart pounding. He glances around. A few employees peek from behind the open doorway, listening. Antonio stands behind him, trembling with pent-up emotion. Michael fixes Derek with a steady gaze. "Yes," he says quietly. "I do. Because I'm Michael Walker. I own Sunrise Eats." A hush descends. Derek's face drains of color. The employees near the door let out faint gasps. Even the hum of traffic beyond the fence seems to fade into a distant murmur. Antonio's eyes widen, realization dawning that the man who's been driving with him all night is actually the CEO. Derek tries to bluster. "That's just some kind of joke, right?" He forces a laugh, but it dies in his throat when Michael pulls a simple ID badge from his back pocket. It's the corporate pass he's used for years, displaying his full name, Michael Walker, founder and chief executive officer. "I came undercover to see why drivers were quitting, why late deliveries spiked, and why store complaints tripled," Michael states, voice calm yet edged with anger. "And now, I know," Derek stammers. You never told me, corporate never said." Michael holds up a hand. "That's enough. Your behavior, the threats, the disregard for driver well-being is unacceptable. If these are the conditions under your leadership, I'm ending them tonight." Antonio releases a shaky breath, tears shining in his eyes as relief and shock collide. Several employees step closer, verifying the moment, unsure whether to cheer or hold their breath. Derek tries to gather composure, jaw clenching. "Look, times are tough, all right? We're understaffed and expected to keep deliveries on time." Michael's voice rises a notch, cutting him off. "That doesn't give you the right to manipulate employees or hold their personal struggles over their heads. I built this chain so it could be a positive place to work, not a sweatshop for drivers. Silence thickens between them. Michael notices the weight lifting from Antonio's posture, the young man finally able to stand taller. Derek attempts one last protest. I was only doing what I thought corporate wanted. But it sounds hollow, even to his own ears. Michael exhales. Starting now, you're relieved of your manager role. I'll process your termination with HR. We'll appoint someone who respects the staff. He glances at the circle of employees, their eyes wide. I'm sorry you all had to endure this. We'll make changes so that drivers aren't overburdened, pay becomes fair, and no one's family is threatened by arbitrary hours. Antonio looks near tears, nodding slowly. Derek's face twitches with indignation, but he says nothing, turning sharply and marching away into the store. The employees part for him like water around a rock. Once he's gone, the hush breaks. Michael turns to the staff. I want a quick meeting inside. Anyone who can stay, please gather in the front. We'll talk solutions tonight, not tomorrow. A few employees nod, glancing at each other with disbelief. Carly emerges, swallowing. I'll be there, she says softly. Thanks. Antonio sets down the extra bag of orders, voice unsteady. Thank you. I can't believe, we needed this. Michael reaches out, resting a hand on the young man's shoulder. You did nothing wrong. You deserve respect, and a job that pays you enough to live. He hesitates, then adds, we can talk about an advance, or a loan from the company, or adjusting your hours so you earn more. I don't want you losing your home. A tear slips down Antonio's cheek. Really? That'd mean everything to me. Michael nods, a tightness in his chest softening. Absolutely. He leads the way into the store, where employees gather, curious but hopeful. In a quiet corner near a table scattered with condiments, Michael addresses them. I know it's been tough. I saw it with my own eyes tonight. From now on, I'll ensure no one is forced to choose between safety and speed, or threatened with hours they desperately need. We'll hire more drivers if necessary. We'll implement fair scheduling. And let me be clear, we can still meet customer needs without sacrificing the people making it happen. A few staff exchange relieved glances. Carly rubs her arms, tension unwinding from her posture. One older cook in the back nods, face lined with fatigue but eyes bright with cautious optimism. Michael meets every gaze he can, offering a sincere apology. I should have stepped in sooner, I believed the polished reports. But I'm here now and I promise we'll fix it. You all make Sunrise Eats what it is. Without you, there's no business. Antonio steps up, voice trembling with gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Walker, I can't tell you how much this changes things. Michael gently squeezes his arm. Call me Mike, please. And if anyone else needs immediate help or has concerns, come talk to me after this meeting. I'm not leaving until we figure out the next steps. He glances around at the battered store interior, the scuffed floors, the hectic arrangement of phone lines and dispatch tablets, the employees exhausted yet hopeful. Outside, the neon sign of Sunrise Eats flickers, calling hungry customers in. But for once, it feels like not just the orders matter, but the people behind them. Michael checks the time. It's nearly 10 p.m., but he's determined to keep working if needed. He gives the staff a chance to voice issues. Carly describes chaotic scheduling that leaves her with random shifts. Another driver complains about the pay scale for mileage. Michael jots down notes, promising immediate reviews. He also quietly instructs a supervisor from another location, someone he trusts, to come fill in as interim manager tomorrow. Meanwhile, he'll personally oversee operations. Before they disperse, he offers a subtle nudge for anyone who might be following this story beyond the store walls. If you're listening or watching how this unfolds, please stick around. We want people to see how we turn this place around, so feel free to stay updated. Like or subscribe if that's your thing. We'll make sure no driver is ever pushed past their limit again. A small grin touches his lips, the call to action sounding lighter in the midst of the store's tension. With the meeting concluded, employees scatter to finish closing tasks, nerves calmer, relief evident. Some smile at Michael as they pass. He finally has a moment to breathe. He steps outside, inhaling the night air. The sky overhead is a patchwork of stars, the city lights glowing at the horizon. He rubs the tension in his neck, reflecting on the day's events. Delivering orders, hearing about one driver's dire rent situation, confronting a manager who twisted employees' desperation into compliance. Antonio follows him out, stopping near the battered sedan they shared. "I guess that's it for tonight," the young man says. "I mean, we still have deliveries, but they can spread them around more fairly now, right?" Michael nods. "They will. And you've done more than enough today. Get home safely. Talk to your mom, see if we can set up a plan for your rent. I'll make sure management is on board to give you the hours you need." Under safe conditions. A mix of relief and gratitude crosses Antonio's features. He nods, tears in his eyes. "Thank you so much. I was scared we'd end up on the street." Michael's throat tightens. He pats Antonio's shoulder. "Not under my watch. Go get some rest." Antonio sniffles, then offers a watery smile before hurrying off to catch a bus. Michael stands alone near the store's rear exit, gazing at the neon sign. A faint hum of traffic washes through the night, accompanied by the gentle clatter of pots from inside. For a moment, he closes his eyes. He can almost feel the weight of each employee's burden, the pressure that short staffing and harsh deadlines impose. He dials his assistant from corporate, stepping away so as not to disturb anyone. After a ring, she answers, voice crisp. "Yes, Mr. Walker?" "Please, call me Michael," he reminds gently, though he's used to her formality. "Listen, I need you to block off my schedule for the next 2 weeks. I'll be at this store, reorganizing staff, hiring more drivers, and ensuring all protocols are corrected. Also, arrange a manager from the main branch to step in for Derek. He's gone." Her surprise is audible. "Gone, sir?" Michael nods, even though she can't see. "Yes. Terminated, and for good reason. We'll finalize the paperwork tomorrow. For now, get the ball rolling. We can't leave this store to flounder." She murmurs agreement, and they end the call. Standing there, Michael notices a piece of graffiti on the brick wall behind the store. The letters faint but still visible. "Have hope." The phrase resonates with him. After all he's witnessed tonight, he knows how vital hope can be. He looks up at the stars, letting the night breeze ruffle his hair. He imagines the future of Sunrise Eats if they continue letting managers like Derek run wild. It's not the future he dreamed of. He started this chain with a vision of decent wages, flexible shifts, and staff who felt like family. Over time, that got buried beneath profit goals and expansions, but no longer. His gut churns with determination to restore that original mission. Finally, he heads back inside. Some employees are already tidying up. Carly waves timidly, relief evident in her eyes. Michael offers a friendly nod in return. He helps wipe tables, stack chairs, and answer a couple of phone-in orders that slip in just before closing. The staff gaze at him with a mixture of awe and gratitude. He's the CEO, yet he's here, sweeping floors and taking calls. By the time the last order is done, it's nearing midnight. Michael gathers everyone for a final note. "Go home, rest," he says, voice warm. "We'll regroup tomorrow morning. Spread the word that I want to hear from each driver about hours, pay, or any concerns. We're rebuilding this store from the ground up." A small cheer rises from a corner, the employees clapping quietly. Michael flushes, not expecting applause, but feeling touched by their acceptance. Then they filter out into the night, car doors slamming in the parking lot. Tired, but with lighter hearts. He flicks off the main lights, leaving only the security lamps glowing. He stands behind the counter, letting the hush settle. A swirl of conflicting emotions washes over him. Anger at how Derek bullied staff? Relief that he stepped in? Guilt that he let it happen for so long? And renewed resolve to fix it. At the back door, he pauses, remembering Antonio's phone call, the helplessness in his voice. That's the moment everything crystallized for Michael. Hearing real desperation in an employee's call shattered any illusions about how the store was being run. He hopes tonight is the start of a better journey for Antonio and everyone else. He locks up, stepping into the silent lot. The street lamp buzzes overhead, illuminating a row of cars. His battered delivery sedan sits among them. For a second, he chuckles softly, recalling the hours spent zipping across the city to deliver pizzas and sandwiches. He's sweaty, exhausted, and more alive than he's felt in ages. Undercover or not, he sees now that sometimes the only way to truly understand your business is to be part of the grind. He sets the warm phone, still logged into the driver dispatch app, on the passenger seat and sinks into the driver's seat. The neon Sunrise Eats sign casts a faint glow, reminding him of all that happened. He takes a moment to close his eyes, letting the day's tension flow out. In the morning, he'll call a bigger meeting, implement changes, and ensure fair treatment for all. But for now, he can at least celebrate a small victory. No more toxic manager. No more intimidation. The future might still hold challenges, but they'll face them together. After turning the key, he pulls out of the lot, the city's nighttime hum surrounding him. As he drives, the phone pings one last time with a late request, but he ignores it. The staff who remain can handle it fairly, and it's time for him to finalize his plan to rescue Sunrise Eats from within. He can't help feeling a swell of optimism. He imagines telling the story to all who follow the brand. If you care about how we're changing things from the ground up, stick around. You'll see we're not just a food chain, we're people, working to support one another. He glances up at the scattered stars, remembering the graffiti. Have hope. He smiles. Yes, he thinks, they can have hope again. Tomorrow brings a fresh start. And for Antonio, for every driver, for every family reliant on these paychecks, Michael vows never to let them down again.